$1.5 trillion is about to enter the XRP ledger all simultaneously, as in the next couple of days, Ripple has officially announced and declared that they're going to be purchasing over $1 billion worth of XRP in a massive buyback. This buyback of $1 billion worth of XRP is set to bring the price of XRP to over $600. And this all has been confirmed, and it's all set to happen as the dates have officially been unveiled, the end of October. Guys, this is insane, and if you hold even 10 XRP, you want to watch this video till the end, because this video is critical and it's confirmed. All the sources have verified the exact same information. XRP is about to be bought back, over 1 billion of it, by Ripple Labs, and it's set to trigger a massive price increase to over $600, as well as an additional 1.5 trillion is about to be injected into the XRPL. And wait a second, this was all confirmed by Wells Fargo. The banks, the institutions, the elites, BlackRock, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, all have stated this. In fact, Wells Fargo actually predicted that the XRP token could surge to $500 in literally 2 to 7 months. Take a look at this. Wells Fargo staff predicts XRP to hit $100 to $500 in the next 2 to 7 months. Is that a shocker? No, it's not. Because these guys have already set the price of XRP because they require it. In fact, Brad Garlinghouse had hinted about this all along for quite a long time now, where he emphasized that they've just confirmed, Ripple, a massive invitation to integrate XRP into the massive payment sectors like real estate, insurance, and even trade finance. And we were also told by the co-founder of XRP, Arthur Brittu, that XRP was designed and built for billions of users, and that the price target that XRP was designed for was $10,000. And look at XRP now, as we finally recover after a massive retracement, and it's consolidating, preparing for the biggest breakout in its history, with institutions globally now beginning to accept it. Like, take a look at this. JP Morgan Chase Bank has officially announced that they will start accepting payments in XRP, a massive development. But that's not all. BlackRock has also announced a massive partnership with Ripple set to tokenize assets onto the XRP ledger. And even Ripple's own CTO revealed that massive XRP volume will be needed to power the new global financial system, and that over 650 trillion in global capital will flow into the XRP ledger by Real Token, which is built on the XRPL. Now, there's one thing that is extremely important that you have to pay attention to, and that is Trump just replaced the Federal Reserve. And if you haven't been paying attention, the markets for gold and silver have been surging massively. We're talking about a massive 3 to 4x, so like a 400,000% increase in the price of gold and silver, which we've never seen before in its history. But wait a second, this is happening because the global reset is about to occur, wiping the debt and then using the gold and silver profits that the US federal government is actually right now selling on people. They're taking that profit to load up on Bitcoin, XRP, ETH, and stablecoins. But pay attention to the word XRP. This great wealth shift will mark the beginning of tokenization onto the XRP ledger. And it will mark the first ever historic trading and purchase of XRP by the Federal Reserve. In fact, Trump just recently launched a strategic XRP wallet with the US Treasury. And it's already interacted with the Bank of America and World Liberify, which is actually an institution for crypto that is owned by Donald Trump's own son. Which reminds me of this clip taken just 2 weeks ago, where Eric Trump actually states that he knows the Ripple CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, and mentions XRP by name. He literally says, yes, I know XRP very well, and that they've been interacting and dealing with the XRP ledger on a massive scale for payments and for the payment sector of the Federal Reserve. You have to understand the scale that we are talking about, the trillions of dollars that are about to flow in the long run, and how in the next couple of days we may begin to see the massive $1.5 trillion influx begin entering into the XRP ledger. And all of this simultaneously happening will trigger the $600 per XRP price prediction that has basically been confirmed now by multiple financial institutions, including Wells Fargo, with their prediction. Now again, it sounds crazy, but just listen to me for 1 second. Now let's go back to the XRP ledger, and let's go back to the massive number that is really globalizing the XRP ledger, which is the massive global capital influx, which is about to enter the XRPL of over $650 trillion. And what this number is, because this is probably the most important number that you want to know about XRP, because this is the number that's going to set XRP's price to thousands. We're talking, between $5,000 to $11,000, which is the real margin price of XRP. This is really what we're looking at. It sounds crazy, but this is the reality, because this money, if it flows into the XRP ledger, will trigger that price. So let's talk about it. The $650 trillion that is being discussed is actually coming from the real token. Now, the real token is actually backed by an institution. Now, real token's on the XRP ledger, but it's backed by an institution known as RealFi. RealFi is actually a real estate marketplace. It's also a payment reward system. They do a lot of very cool things. We're talking about a massive institution that deals with real world assets. And these guys have actually officially announced that they're beginning to unlock real estate using the real token, which is built on the XRPL. Now, this is the real token, a cryptocurrency that is about to surge with a very low supply of only 22 million, which is nothing. Phase 1 supply, 22 million, the lowest in the history of cryptocurrencies. Really, that's what we're looking at. And it's a real world asset token. Again, very big deal. And with all this token launched just 2 to 3 months ago, and it's up hundreds of thousands of percentages, because it was literally a hundredth of a penny, and now it's about 3 cents. Crazy enough, with the rest of the market being completely in the red, real token is one of the only very few tokens that is actually still in the green. And again, these guys are not listed on a single centralized exchange. There's no mass marketing campaign, yet the price of real token continues to absolutely soar because of the actual innovation and because of the amount of money that RealFi is actually bringing onto the XRP ledger. You gotta understand that real token is going to facilitate all of the money. That's exactly what's going to happen. The $650 trillion is going to go through real token into the XRP ledger, and as a result cause supply shock for both real token and the XRPL, to the point that a lot of XRP analysts and a lot of experts in the space have actually revealed that if just 1% of the massive capital, the 650 were to enter the real token or the XRP ledger, it would literally cause real token to skyrocket from 2 cents to over almost $65,000, $64,500. We are talking at a massive, massive, massive historical supply shock. And this is going to happen for real token, which is on the XRP ledger. And even though XRP will experience a supply shock, like for example, it reaching $5,000 to $6,000, real token is going to break those numbers because again, it has a very low supply, substantially lower than XRP itself. And so obviously when you look at real token, you're like, this is very bullish. I mean, these guys have been growing massively over the last couple of months. Like again, these guys are actually growing exponentially. Like they have over 3,447 wallets. I mean, yesterday we took a look at them, and these guys were only at 3,400. So again, with literally zero marketing, with again it not being listed on anywhere, you're looking at them growing massively. And this is why I'm freaking bullish on the real token and why I've accumulated a nice bag. I truthfully think this thing is going to experience one of the largest breakouts historically on the XRP ledger. And I think people are going to become millionaires in the short term and the long term. It's off of projects that are utility based that are solving a multi-trillion-dollar real world problem. And this is exactly that. It's solving a real world problem in the trillions of dollars. It's actually real world assets. And on top of all this, it's backed by a massive institution, the RealFi institution. And it's built on the XRP ledger, which makes things just so much better. And it's even crazy when you're seeing, literally these guys with 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 followers come out and say that they believe the real token is going to hit thousands of dollars, potentially with that 1% of the massive market, which again, it's true because you look at the supply, you look at the demand that is required, you look at the future for this project and how it's being built. And this is actually extremely solid. Actually, it's one of the most bullish projects that I've seen. This in my mind, when I first seen it, I'm like, this is literally Bitcoin sitting at $1, and then Bitcoin skyrocketed to $120,000, or even Ethereum or Solana, projects that were sitting at the pennies and then skyrocketed into the hundreds and then thousands of dollars. And this could easily do so because it has a substantially lower supply than all of those, tokens that are out there that have reached thousands of dollars. And it's again, when you look at this is actually a very big deal. The concept of you being able to buy real estate, to transact, to earn rewards, to do all of this is actually a very big deal. And it's all happening using the real token, which is built on the XRPL. I absolutely think this is critical for the XRP ledger. I'm very, very bullish on this piece of technology and the XRPL and how it's actually building. And so I gotta tell you guys that I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice, or you do your own research. What I'm recommending here is you do your own research. That's what I am recommending. I think this is a big deal. There's a lot of money going to flow into crypto and blockchain, and if you are able to capture it because you're able to get in early, you are going to be one of those very few winners. Remember, as blockchain and crypto goes mainstream, there's going to be less money to be made. So the earlier you get in, the more you're able to, be part of the, early guys that got in, and that way you become very profitable. But eventually, there's going to be a time where institutions are in, governments are in, the price is going to stabilize, and there's going to be no more money, and then you will have missed the train. Which is why I always say you want to do your research, you want to look at what you're doing, you want to make your own decisions, but you got to be looking at what's new, you got to be looking at what's popping, you got to be looking at utility, you got to be looking at where the future is heading and what problem is it solving. And then you get projects like XRP that are solving a real-world payment problem, or Real Token, which is solving a real-world real estate payments problem. I mean, this is what we're looking at. This is what the crypto and blockchain space is for. It's for innovation, bullishness, and of course, solving a massive problem, which is what we're looking at here. But guys, I'm going to end off the video here. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this video.